super duper easy. Okay.
Oh yeah, looks easy.
Wait, is that really?
I don't know why I wear a mask anymore.
Oh, we gotta get more information.
Well, you're actually nicely.
So for those of you who watch the video, when we talk about conic sections, I'm talking about taking a three-dimensional cone and slicing into it at some point. When I slice into it, I'm going to get a shape. For this lesson, we are anticipating that that shape is a circle.
Yes.
So everything we're doing today is centered around a circle. Haha, because circles have a center. Okay, that was not funny.
They also have a circumference and a radii.
They also have a side.
Let's talk about the features of a circle. In a circle, I have a center. This center, hold on. This center is the absolute center of the circle, which means that it's equal distance from all points along the outside edge of the circle. I also know, as Kennedy just pointed out, that I have a radius, which is half the distance straight across the circle. The entire distance then is the diameter. Every single diameter of a circle cuts through the center, and that center is the midpoint of the diameter. So we have to know how to find the midpoint given two other points. So we have a midpoint formula that goes along with this. The midpoint formula is we take x1 plus x2 and we divide it by 2. And then we take y1 plus y2 and divide it by 2, where this is my x-coordinate and this is my y-coordinate of the midpoint, which happens to be our center when we're talking about diameter and circle.
Wait, didn't we do this?
We have done this before, yes.
I don't like this lesson. That's not how it works.
How is this easy?
We'll see.
Is that 0 too?
Squiggly line over X, right?
Is what, 0?
Two.
Oh, sorry. I put a line through my Z's so you can tell the difference. Also important to note, we should know how to do the distance, or what the distance formula is between 2 points. So our distance formula, D is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, all under the square root. I know, it's super
We did
exciting.
this year.
This has been done in geometry.
Oh, never mind.
I almost failed geometry.
Ow. I passed you didn't see.
Yes, I did.
You're like the second best in Hall's class.
Yeah, because she
I
slowed
know.
everything down.
What do you mean?
She's at a very slow pace.
I should also make sure that we write down the equation for a circle. So this is the standard form equation. This is pretty much what we're going to use the entire time.
Is it pi in this?
And this is the equation: r squared equals x minus h squared plus y minus k squared, where r is the radius of my circle and the center is the coordinate hk. You're thinking about area and circumference. Those have pi in them.
And surface area.
And surface area, right? So now we're going to use all of this information to put it together, and we're going to create equations of circles. It is going to be
Are we
fun.
ready for that one?
That is good.
Oh, it is going to be fun.
I'm ready for lunch.
Okay. So on the notes, there are a couple where I actually drew the circle. For ease, I'm not going to. We're just going to talk about the points and then go from there, but it works the exact same. So we're going to start with the example. I would like to write the equation for the circle with a center at the point -3, 1 that goes through the outside point to -1. No, center. So given this information, our end goal is to write that standard form equation that I just wrote above this.
So R squared equals
Yes.
X.
For ease, we're gonna go ahead and write that. So r squared equals x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. In order to fill this in, I need to know what r is, and I need to know what my center, what hk is. Those are the only two pieces of information I need for this. So here is the ultimate question. If I have a circle that has a center, and then I have a point on the circle around it, how do I find the radius or the distance from the center to the outside of that circle?
Distance.
The distance formula. Oh my gosh, how did you come up with that?
You
Okay.
said distance.
So in order to find this radius, I'm going to do the distance formula, which is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared.
X2 minus X1.
I'm going to go and fill in the points. So -3, 1, and 2, -1. It doesn't matter which one you pick as the second point and which one you pick as the first point. It's going to work out the same either way. So I have the square root of, I'm going to do 2 minus a -3 squared. So I did x minus x plus 1 or -1 minus 1. So y minus y. I'm going to simplify this out. What's 2 minus a -3?
That's 5.
And then 5 squared is
25.
25.
So does it matter which one you plug in first?
No. What's -1 minus 1? -2. -2 squared is 4. 25 and 4 make 29. So my radius is equal to the square root of 29.
It's not the square.
We're not there. We're not there. Do I know the center of my circle, since that's the other piece of information I need?
Yes.
Yes, what is the center of my circle?
-2.
It tells me the center is -3, 1. So -3 is my h value and 1 is my k value. And I just take all that and I plug it in to the standard form equation that I wrote, which leaves me with the square root of 29 squared equals x minus a -3 squared plus y minus 1 squared. X minus a -3 becomes x plus 3. Make sure you know a double negative becomes addition. Is there anything else I can do to simplify this?
Solve it.
You have to get rid of the squares. Though.
Nope, the squares can stay. I didn't say that I had to have like a expanded form. But can I simplify the square root of 29 squared?
Yeah, it's just 22.
Just 29. A square and a square root cancel each other out, which leaves me with 29 equals x plus 3 squared plus y minus 1 squared. And that is my standard form equation for this circle.
We don't have to solve those?
Nope.
Are we
What would
gonna
it give
work
you
on
if you factored in?
You're going to have like x squared plus 6x plus 9 plus y squared minus 2y plus 4, 9 and 4, 13, subtract the 29 over -16, sorry.
Now what is that? Does that
It's
help
just
you with
another
the-
form of the equation, doesn't help you with anything. Okay,
So we're not gonna like solve these.
no, so this is an okay place to stop if I say give me an equation. Any issues with that? Who thinks this is easier than it looked? Okay,
Oh, it definitely-
of course we're going to do more.
Well,
remember
it was easy
being
to do
this
it,
difficult.
but to do it.
So now I would like to do the same thing. So I'd like to write the equation for the circle. This circle has a center at 0, 0. And it goes through the point 1, 5. Just like before, I would like to write an equation. So we're just going to do that standard form equation of the circle. I like to pull out the important information that I already know, such as that my center, HK, is the point 0, 0. Do I know what my radius is right now?
No.
Was I given the radius?
So you gotta do this.
No, but I can calculate it, right, using my distance formula. So r is equal to d, which is the square root of, it doesn't matter the order that you go in, so I'm gonna do 1 minus 0 squared plus 5 minus 0 squared. 1 minus 0 is 1, 1 squared is 1. 5 minus 0 is 5, 5 squared is 25. And I get that the radius is equal to the square root of 26. Just like before, I go ahead and fill this information into my standard form equation, which tells me that the square root of 26 squared equals x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared. I filled in the h, the k, and the r. Give you guys a second. Anybody confused by what I did there?
Where did you get the
Did I get one? What, hon?
H and K just says?
Correct. I can actually simplify this one a little bit more. First of all, what's the square root of 26 squared? 26. What's x minus 0?
0.
Just x. So I can rewrite that as x squared. Similarly, y minus 0 is just y. So that becomes y squared. You are more than welcome, though, to leave it as x minus 0, y minus 0 if you want to. I would never count off for that. This just looks nicer. Major issues with that? Okay, so let's do another one.
Is this all we're doing for homework?
Pretty much.
Diameter. Square.
So this problem says, write the equation for the circle if the endpoints of the diameter are at 7, 6, and -1, -8. So for this one, I might draw just a rough sketch because it couldn't hurt, right? Say this one is 7, 6. We'll say this one is -1, -8. I know in order to write the equation, I need to know the radius and I need to know the center. Right now, I have none of that information. So I like to start with the center because that's actually going to be the easiest one to find from here. What do I know about the diameter of a circle?
It's
Okay,
It goes through the center.
It goes through the center and it cuts all the way across. So not only does it go through the center, but the center of my circle then is the halfway point between each of these endpoints. So I can use that midpoint formula to find the center of this circle because midpoint literally means halfway point. So my midpoint formula is going to tell me what the center of my circle is. And that midpoint formula tells me I'm going to take the x coordinates and I'm going to add them together and divide by 2. So my x coordinates here are -1 and 7. And I'm going to divide by 2. My y coordinates then are -8 and 6. I'm again going to add those together and divide by 2. And it's going to give me my y coordinate. I simplify this. What's -1 plus 7
6,
divided by 2?
3,
And what is -8 plus 6
-2.
divided by 2? So the center of my circle is at 3, -1. So anytime I'm talking about the diameter, I can use the endpoints of the diameter to find the midpoint, which is the center of my circle. What's the last piece of information I need to write the equation?
Radius.
How do I find the radius?
Center.
center to the edge. Or we could also technically do the distance from our two diameter endpoints and then divide that by half, but it's going to be easier center to edge. So my radius is going to be the distance from the center to either one of these points.
Doesn't matter which one.
Because it's going to be the same either way. So I'm going to do 7, 6. So 7 minus 3 squared plus 6 minus a negative 1 squared. I simplify that out. 7 minus 3 is 4. 4 squared is 16. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 squared is 49. 16 and 49 come out to be 65. So the square root of 65 is the radius of my circle. So now I have the radius and I have the center, and I can put that together in my standard form equation. So I'm going to have the square root of 65 squared equals x minus 3 squared plus y minus a negative 1 squared, which becomes y plus 1. I simplify it just like normal. Square root and a square cancel each other out. And I just get 65 equals x minus 3 squared plus y plus 1 squared. How do we feel about that one? Anybody super confused? Are we okay? Do we want to see another diameter work through example? Yes, okay, that's what I figured. And then honestly, after that, we just have 5 more examples and they're really not bad. Okay. Next example is going to be the same premise. I'm going to have a diameter with endpoints, and I would like to find the standard form equation of my circle. So let's say I have a diameter with endpoints at 3, -3, and 1, 5. I would like for you to attempt this one on your own, using the previous example as a guideline. Working through it. Steven, are you just looking? And how many copies? Kennedy, do you still have one of my yellow calculators?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Sure.
My only calculator, I thought you meant this one. The only calculator I have is this one.
Let me borrow one. I can't remember.
It's not me. I gave it back. I said, Lauren, tell her I give it back.
Those?
Looks like it.
Should bring it back. It's one of mine.
Are those the ones? Oh wait, no, I had one from there.
Okay. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Okay.
Watch the cameras.
Who would like to talk me through this one?
I can do the first step until I made it.
Okay, let's go, Kennedy.
Okay. So, I wrote them down. Wrote that down. Okay. And then from there, you do the midpoint form. And I took one plus 3 over 2, comma, 5 minus 3 over 2, and the parentheses. And then you get 4 over 2, which equals 2, and 2 over 2, which equals 1.
So we should have all gotten that our center is 2, 1,
Yes.
correct?
And that's how far I made it. I'm in the works.
Okay, then how do I find my radius?
You have to do the
Equation.
The distance. So I'm doing distance from center to either one of those endpoints. I'm gonna go ahead and do the 1, 5 because they're both positive and I like that. So I'm gonna do 2 minus 1 squared plus 1 minus 5 squared. I simplify it out. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 5 is -4. -4 squared is 16. 1 plus 16 is 17. So my radius is the square root of 17. Then I just take all of this and I plug it into my standard form equation. My standard form equation then is going to be the square root of 17 squared, which is 17, equals x minus 2 squared plus y minus 1 squared.
I know I did it wrong, but exactly what I got. I just already erased it. I did the equation one, and I got 17, just the whole number 17.
Did you do r equals and you didn't, or r squared equals and you didn't have the,
I didn't do the distance. But I didn't have the square root. Like, I just did the r squared equals x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. I did that formula, and I got just the equation.
well, it's because you still did the x's and the y's, so it still kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Because
That's why I
these
was-
two are very similar, so that's how that comes out. Make sure you are keeping aware of what we're doing though. Okay,
I missed it.
any questions on that one?
I know what I did wrong.
Are we all super bored because we know what we're doing?
I did it wrong, but at the same time did it right. 'Cause I put 3 minus 2 in parentheses squared plus -3 minus 1. I'm not entirely sure
I
why
did the
did
equation
that.
formula first.
I still got the square.
You did the same thing. You just did the other point.
Right, so you got it right.
You did from here to here, which is perfectly fine. They should come out the same because the center is equal distance from all points on the circle.
Yeah, I got the same thing. I
Yeah.
just didn't know how it got.
Yeah, you just did the other point. That's okay. So now let's switch gears a little bit. Let's say I give you the equation and I would like you to find the center and the radius.
Oh.
And then graph it.
Oh.
Oh.
It's super easy, okay?
It's super easy. Can we skip it?
Okay, so let's say that I have the equation x squared plus y minus 7 squared equals 9. And I would like to find the center and I would like to find the radius.
Radius is 9.
Let's remember what my standard form equation is. It is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared.
So 3.
Hold on. Give everybody a chance to write it. Hang on to that.
Yeah, Kennedy.
The easiest way to solve this is to set like parts together. So clearly I see the 9 and I see the r squared. So I'm going to say r squared equals 9, which means r equals Kennedy.
3.
Because the square root of 9 is 3. So my radius is 3 for this.
What if
You always
it's
just
not-
take the square root of that.
What if it's not like a square root of?
It's still the square root of that. So if I had like 27 there, it'd be the square root of 27. You would just leave it like that, though. You wouldn't have to do anything else with it. Which means the center has to come from the x and from the y. So my center coordinates are whatever numbers attached to my x with the opposite sign, and whatever numbers attached to my y with the opposite sign.
0.
There's nothing attached to my x, so I assume that's a 0.
7.
And there's a -7 attached to my y. I take the opposite sign, which makes that a +7. So my center is at 0, 7, and my radius is 3. Which means I can actually graph this.
How you
Where
want
would
me
you
to do
zero
that?
from?
There's no number attached to the x.
So wouldn't there be 1?
If there was, so it'd be a 1 in front of the x if I was thinking about it like that. But we talk about addition or subtraction.
What?
So we are going to go to 0, 7 because that is the center of my circle. Okay, I'm gonna make her really big so you can see her.
Mine are all the
Three,
simple
so you go.
Hold on. Don't get ahead of ourselves yet.
And you go through.
I said don't get ahead of ourselves yet. So I always plot the center first. Are we all okay with that?
Yeah.
Then my radius is 3. So from that center in each of my cardinal directions, which is north, south, east, and west, I go 3 and I put a dot. So from the center up, I put a dot. From the center right, I count 3 and put a dot. From the center down, I count 3 and put a dot. From the center left, I count 3 and I put a dot.
Why?
Then because that's my radius, so this represents the outside of my circle. Then I do my best to draw a circle that goes through those 4 points.
What if it's an oval?
It will be a circle, it's just not gonna look like one. That's okay.
Huh?
Like a square.
Yeah, they don't look pretty all the time, but that's theoretically what it would look like.
Eyelash on my.
That's okay. If I can tell you that you put your 4 cardinal points, distance of 3 away from your center, I'm gonna give you the points. Okay, any issues with this one? This is the extent of this question. Let's do another one.
No question. No.
So we
Okay.
just gotta get to the point.
Can we do this one on our own?
Yes, you will do this one on your own.
This is easy.
Okay, given this equation, find the center, find the radius, and sketch the graph. Jonah, what's the center of my circle? Positive 4, because both my x and my y have a -4 attached to them, and I take the opposite sign.
Why are you taking it?
Because in our equation, we did x minus h, so I need to know what h was before I applied the subtraction to it. So it's just easier to take the opposite sign. It's a good rule to remember.
Okay.
Steven, what's the radius of my circle? 5. So we just square rooted that 25 right there. And now I can plot my point, right?
Points.
Points, as in plural.
Yeah.
I definitely did this one, but that's okay.
It's for me. It's for me.
Also, if I got the points,
You wanna go to basketball?
like all the types of questions
I.
where we had to find the
Look.
center,
You have to
if I got the center point, but I usually meant the point equation.
That's okay-ish. Did you just count?
Yeah,
Why?
It still works the same way.
so I don't,
Okay,
am I allowed to do that?
not officially, but we'll see.
Oh,
So we go approximately, oh gosh, she is not pretty, but she works. And we roughly draw what our circle is.
how many points?
5, we start at 4, 4, and we go 5 in each direction.
Oh,
Yeah, because the radius is 5. Again, she doesn't have to look nice. I will check to see that your 4 points are placed correctly, and that's what I'll base your grade off.
So do we actually have to draw a circle, or do we just?
You should still draw the circle.
So,
Yes.
so I get how you get the center, but how do we get like
So from the center, I count 5 in each direction because that was what my radius was. So I counted up 5 and put a dot. I counted right 5 and put a dot. I counted down 5 and put a dot. And I counted left 5 and put a dot. And then that's theoretically what my circle should go through.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to approach this from a different way. Let's say that my equation was not given to me in standard form. Let's say it was given to me in expanded form.
Log.
So let's say I have x squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 8y minus 5 equals 0.
Divide like.
Radius.
Ah, shh. No, it's talking to him.
Formula.
Radius is square root of
We're
5.
still going, no, don't think about it like that yet. I cannot square root to find the radius until it's in standard form. So my first step should be to try to put this in standard form.
You gotta
which
combine,
means
like, terms.
I can only have the x's and the y's on the left, and I want to get all the numbers to the right. So I'm going to start by adding this 5 over and grouping my x's together and grouping my y's together. So I'm going to have x squared minus 4x plus y squared plus 8y equals 5. I just put my x's together in a parentheses and my y's together. I just grouped them. And now I'm starting to see that I almost have quadratics on the left-hand side for the x and for the y. So my goal is to create a quadratic for each of these. It's going to factor beautifully. So we're going to complete the square. I know how much you guys love that. So after we've grouped our x's and we've grouped our y's, I'm going to rewrite them, leaving space for a third number to be put into each of these parentheses.
This is what I got out.
Okay, so I just rewrote it, leaving space for a third number to be applied. All I have to do now is find that third number and add it to both sides of my equation. The way we find that number is we go to this middle term. I really hope we're paying attention. We go to this middle term, we split it in half, and we square it. So what's half of negative 4? Negative 2 squared.
Completing the square.
So I put a 4 in that parentheses.
Oh, and then we got.
We are completing the square twice.
So you.
So half of that. is
So we do
half.
half of this term, and then square the answer. We put that number on both sides, and then I do it over here too. So half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So I add 16 to both sides. Since I've completed the square, this is going to factor beautifully. What number times itself multiplies to 4 but adds to negative 4?
2.
Negative 2. So this factors into x minus 2 squared plus what number multiplies to 16 and adds to 8? Same number twice.
4.
4. Y plus 4. Y plus 4. So this becomes y plus 4 squared. And then equals, I put that together and I get 25. And now I have the standard form equation and I can pull out the center and the radius.
Question,
Yes.
is it always add?
For completing the square, yes.
Oh wait, the third number? Yes, because I'm squaring it. So any number times itself is always positive. And then I pull out my center and my radius. My center here is at what coordinate, Chandler?
2, -4.
And my radius
5.
is 5, because the square root of 25 is 5. How do we feel about that? We're gonna do one more and then I will let you do the homework.
I don't really know. We do algebra.
All of it. There's not that many questions.
There's 6 questions.
Yeah, dude, I didn't make that many.
Even if we get x minus 2 and y plus 4.
What multiplies together to get positive 4 but adds to get negative
Oh,
4? We just factored it.
Okay.
And it always factors into the same thing twice. That's the whole point of completing the square. Always. So let's do another one. I want to do. We'll do that. Okay.
And you use that, so if it's like not in standard form?
Anytime it's not in standard form, so it starts out looking like this, we must complete the square.
The answer is 8.
Okay, x squared plus y squared minus 8x plus 12y minus 12 equals 0. I won't make you try it on your own quite yet, but I will kind of let you lead me through the steps. Boone, what's my first step?
Check to vectors and
The constant, right? So by combine like terms, you mean group like terms, right? Because there's nothing I can put together. So I'm going to group my x's together. And I'm going to move that constant over to the other side. Perfect. Now I space to complete the square.
So you're gonna.
So I'm going to complete the square on each of them. I'm going to do the x's first. What's half of negative 8? What's negative 4 squared?
16.
What I do to one side, I also have to do to the other to keep it in balance. Then I go to my y's. What's half of 12?
6.
6 squared.
36.
I add that to both sides. And then I factor my x and my y. So what number times itself is going to equal 16 and add to 4? Or add to negative 8?
4.
Negative 4. So this factors into x minus 4. Can I tell you guys a secret? It's always going to factor into whatever half of this middle term was. So since my middle term was negative 8, half of that's negative 4. My middle term here is 12, half of that is 6, and this factors into y plus 6 squared.
So do you have to do that one?
Yes, because I still need these numbers. And then I can add 12 and 16 and 36 together, and I get what?
You're gonna get
64.
64.
yeah.
And then I can pull out my center, and I can pull out my radius. Kennedy, what's my center?
I'm gonna figure it out first.
Yeah, negative 4, 6, right?
Opposite signs.
Oh, 4, negative 6.
And then my radius, Jonah. 8. Half, not half. Square root of 64 is 8. So then we're done.
So you just gotta find your center.
You just gotta find your center, and your radius is always what I'm looking for these.
Now we gotta graph that.
Okay, your homework is on Canvas. I think, ask you to graph on some of them, but you guys can easily do that. Just draw it on your paper. Other than that, you're good to go.
38. 38. Awesome.
Can I